Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about the One Piece card game. Today I'm going to be talking to you about what I believe is a sleeper deck in the format, relatively speaking. I think it's starting to pick up steam, but I do want to talk about it because it's a really interesting one. And that's Blue Croc. So I genuinely have quite a lot to say about this leader, but I want to start off by talking about the meta at the moment and why Blue Croc is placed to either do really, really well or really, really poorly. The thing with this leader is it is able to really effectively deal with everything that is not Katakuri. And that's true for some of the best decks in the game right now. For example, Rebecca. Coincidentally, this does absolutely slap Rebecca, by the way. Rebecca, it's basically unwinnable. But the reason, of course, that this is a risky pick is because Katakuri is, if you were to look in isolation of the meta in terms of just what the most powerful decks are, Katakuri is definitely the most powerful deck. But it gets bullied by Red-Green Law. It is 50-50 at best into Whitebeard. And I believe it's not so hot into Zoro. So basically, if something is red, it is going to be a rough time. In particular is Red-Green Law, because that deck is very powerful and is very, very, very popular. I as a Katakuri player, I would go into a 9-round event expecting to play Law 2 to 3 times before top cut, right, in day 1. And that means I'm going to go X2, right? Like, which is already not a great place to be starting if my expected matchup sort of thing is going X2. So I don't expect Katakuri to see the same level of play as it is in locals in these major tournaments. Now, I could be wrong. I could be entirely wrong. But the reason I want to contextualize that is because if that prediction is correct, Blue Croc is an amazing pick. If that prediction is wrong, this is the worst pick you could make. Because Rebecca can beat Crocodile. No, can beat Katakuri. Absolutely, it can. It's a little bit difficult, but it can be done. You cannot. It's not happening with Croc. It's really, really hard. It can happen, but it's very unlikely. So it's just one of those ones where you'd rather play Law. But of course, if you're playing into Law, then you're going to be taking L's to this and Rebecca, and it's going to be really, really stressful. So there's a lovely little triangle meta there, which is always fun trying to figure out what the correct choice is. But anyway, that's sort of the context for why this is so good. The leader effect is Don -4, you bounce a 5 cost or lower. And this is incredible right now, just because it's just giving you additional removal, additional reach. You're able to like slam down a big top end tool and then just bounce whatever 5 cost thing is annoying, and you set your opponent back so far in tempo that you're usually going to be able to clean up the game from there. So that's the leader. We're going to go through in cost order, and we'll go from high to low. So 2 copies of 10 cost Kaido. This is the new 10 cost... Oh, well, sorry. This is the newest 10 cost Kaido. There's another one next set. So this is a 10-12 that says, on play, return up to 1 character with the cost of 8 or less to the owner, and 1 character with the cost of 3 or less to the owner's hand. So this is incredibly powerful. This card single-handedly wins the Rebecca matchup because you just go buy Luffy, buy Kyros, and they cry. But this is just insanely good outside of that, right? Like, being able to... Firstly, it's 10 cost, so it is very annoying to deal with. But secondly, like, the tempo swing you're getting here, like, you're able to remove all cheap blockers, 3 cost or less, that's everything relevant. And obviously 8 cost or less is also everything else relevant, so you can just bounce a whole board of blockers. If your opponent has invested a lot of resources into an 8 cost, for example in Katakuri, you can just bounce that. Which, you know, for example, if they've played Katakuri to, like, heal 1, sorry, I'm not sure why my camera freaked out there. If you play Katakuri to, like, heal 1, for example, like, they just chuck their pudding in, and you just go cool bounce Katakuri, like, that is awful. Can you imagine investing your entire turn into just healing 1? That's not good. So yeah, like, there's all sorts of plays where, like, this is really, really powerful. Obviously yellow is bad for other reasons, but this is just insanely good. Obviously into Law, you just go bounce blocker, bounce Law. Like, this is just into Whitebeard. You bounce anything that isn't 9-beard, and then a blocker, for example, or like a cheap blocker, or like, it's just crazy, right? I think I've made my point. I've belabored it. But yeah, this is a very, very good card. I only play 2 copies. It doesn't have counter. It can break if you see too many, and obviously it's not. You're not playing it till late game. I play 3 copies of Mihawk. Very, very good argument to play for. I just think it can be a little cloggy. This isn't Sakazuki. You can't just pitch them. Where in Sakazuki, you happily play 4 of this, like, no questions asked. But in this deck, you don't really have any filter. You haven't really got a way to, like, get rid of it outside of Kaya. Which is definitely something, don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's another thing. You can use Kaido. You can play down Kaya turn before, filter your hand, and then bounce it back with Kaido. There's another thing. You can bounce your own things back as well. But this is just an insanely powerful card. You play this on curve against Rebecca, and you bot deck a Luffy, it's over. You play this on curve and bot deck like an ace or something, it's such a swing. This is a really, really, really good card. Here is my one flex for this deck. 4 copies of Soga King, including 1 manga. I will be looking into picking up more of these if I choose to play it in Sakabozo. At the moment, I think if anything, it's just going to be a flex one-off because I have the manga. But I don't think it's something I'm going to play more than that. At the moment, just looking at the meta in JP, but who's to say really, that could really change. But yeah, this card is nuts. It is bouncing a 6 cost, which is extremely relevant. Being able to deal with the Thatches or the Paris Barrows is very, very good. On top of that, you draw 2, pitch 2, so you get access to that filter, which is very, very relevant in being able to unbrick your hand. So, like, okay, I was exaggerating when I said, like, there's no filter, but, you know, like, it's basically, there's not a huge amount of it. But just having access to even a little bit like that really can be game-changing. And this is just a super, super powerful removal tool that's also a consistency tool. And it's just a great card, and it's a 1k counter. What's not to like? Play 1 Rocky, just like having a 5/7, good body, it's nice. I wasn't really sure what else to put in here, but I quite liked the one-off. You could make this a Mihawk. I think that would be fine. I just didn't have a 4th Alt-Art Mihawk, so there's that. Then we've got Pacifista 2. This is the blocker Pacifista. So this is fine. Obviously, you go for it in situations off of... So, okay, I guess I'll lay this out right. So we're playing 4 Pacifista, and then let me grab them here. They're at the bottom here. We're playing 4 copies of Sentomaro, so we're playing the full Pacifista package. So obviously this is incredibly good, and I think it's particularly good right now because there isn't actually, like, outside of playing against Rebecca, which you're stomping for other reasons, there isn't really a amazing out in the format to just sitting on a Sentomaro and playing a 4/6 every turn or playing a blocker out as needed. Which is really nice, right? Because this is a 4K, and there's, you know, Jet Pistol's fallen out of the format, right? So previously, like, you were just, in early sets, you would just go, okay, Jet Pistol sent tomorrow, and it's doing nothing. Now you can't really do that. You have to actively reduce power to Marco it. So if someone's going to Otama Marco a Sentomaru, I'm fine with that, to be honest. Like, it's made up its value, it's ripped a 2k out of their hand, and it's like, they've had to invest quite a lot into doing that. And I've still got a 4/6 sitting around here, right? Like, that's going to be doing work for me, so I'm happy. But if they don't deal with it immediately, like, if you got a second 4/6 off this is insane, right? Like, it's 3 Don, don't get me wrong, it's 3 Don, so it's, you know, you're only getting it out for 1 less, but the fact it's not taking a card out of your hand, the fact you're just going into your deck. The other big thing, and I think this is a really unsung part of why Sentomaru is so good, is because you can look through your deck and you can figure out what is in your trigger zone, right? Like, you can, in your life, you can figure out what triggers are in there. And that can be huge, right? So the triggers in this deck, there's not a huge amount of them. So it's one of those ones where it's actually really, really easy to keep track of. It's literally just 10 events. So you can go through and you can just go like, okay, well, which events have I seen? Which are in my hand? And let's just cycle through. And you can figure out if there are any in there. Because if there are, that can massively change how you want to be dealing with that. And it gives you this added little aspect where you're able to increase the ceiling of your play by having that knowledge. So that's just a nice little thing. But yeah, I think this is quite nice. There's a really good argument not to play the Pacifista package as well, and just focus on playing like high-standard vanillas, consistency pieces. Like, I don't play Who's Who in this. So there's a very good argument for that. And I think you can go either way. I don't think there's necessarily a right choice. I think it's just going to depend on what you're playing. 2 copies of Ulti, I think there's a really good argument to increase the number of this. Why? This Cook's Law, being able to bot deck their pluses, like their Bonnies or like their blockers is insane. But if you're playing this and you're also playing Who's Who, you can bounce the Who's Who back, or you could bounce your Kaya back to your hand, so you're able to get extra value off of it that way. So this is insanely good. 4 copies of Miss All Sunday. This is just one of the best cards in the game. It's basically impossible to interact with, because if they bounce it back to your hand, like, fine, okay, whatever, it wasn't like a huge investment. If they bot deck it, they just bot decked, what, like they could have bot decked some much more valuable cards, right? And if you look at what bot decking is available, there's much more valuable things they could be bot decking. And if they hard remove it, well, you just get back the event anyway. So yeah, I mean, this card is just so good. And it's going to be played at 4 in any Crocodile, or, well, not Crocodile, any Baroque Works leader from now into the future. I just can't see you not playing it. And we got 4 Doffy. I think this one's obvious. Card's very, very good. Increases your consistency. Is just a good blocker. 4k stat line is important on valuable on a 3 cost. Yeah, just very, very nice. 4 Sasaki, 2k counter that you can use if your hand is massive and you just need to. It's just not got the answers. Sometimes I have played this down. Double Alvida. This is just 2k counter. That's only really the only reason. You can make this a Mihawk. I think that might be fine as well. And then 4 Kaya. So that this is, as I say, another one of your filtering tools. You can just throw it down. You do have ways to get it back into your hand in this deck. And it's good at unbricking your hand, but it's also 2k counter, so it's really, really good. So that's the character cards. Let's now do the events, which is a very, very straightforward lineup. We play 4 copies of Red Rock. This card is nuts. You can just remove literally anything. 4 copies of 3000 Worlds. This card is also nuts. 5 cost is a really, really good range to be targeting in this format. And just being able to just go, but nope, buy to almost anything is really, really nice. And then finally, we got 2 Dragon Twister Demolition Breath. So the trigger on this is really, really nice. It bounces a 6. But this is relevant at bot decking 1s because 1, it's a 4k, but 2, if you can bot deck 1s against like stuff like Law, for example, which is just really, really valuable, or into things like Zoro, or Whitebeard, which is playing a lot of those 1s, like Red, basically. It's really, really good into Red. It's also pretty decent into some other colours, like Black. It's okay. But again, you're cooking Rebecca for a wide variety of reasons that you don't necessarily need to worry about it. So that's this is my list for Croc. I think it's really good. And I think, you know, by all means you can make changes. It is a toolbox deck, and you want to design it to play into the current meta. I think this is a really valuable deck to get some experience on. For me, I think the most valuable decks right now to be learning are Rebecca and Blue Croc. And the reason I think that is because they're going to transition very well into set 5. Blue Croc is going to transition very easily into Sakazuki. You're going to, like, Sakabozo is made for you. And Rebecca is insanely strong next set as well, but it's also going to give you sort of that control mindset to be able to play Sakabozo. And Sakabozo, I think, is the best deck in the game. I think it's nuts. I think it's currently being very slept on in Japan, but it's starting to pick up at the time of this recording anyway. And I think these are insanely good. I also think Zoro is a deck that if you've been playing since day 1, you've been very rewarded for. That deck is very, very good. So that's another way to go if you're leaning down that sort of path. I think Zoro has really given players a lot who have put a lot of time into it. And of course, Red Green Law, again, crazy valuable to spend time on that. But yeah, there we go. More deck profiles will be coming soon, so please do subscribe to the channel for those. Check out my Patreon, linked in the description. There will be deck guides coming out soon on there. I've been very busy, but they've been cooking away in the old noggin, and they will be coming sooner rather than later, so please do check that out. It's $5 a month. I do appreciate any support over there. I chucked up a new tier on there if anyone wants to throw money at me, by the way, to make me help me recover from things like this. Would be appreciated. But anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Cheers.